Hello, hi there. Welcome to another edition of 21 Minutes with KKB. My name is Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong. Today, we are turning our attention to the clergy. And I'm sure you'll be interested in knowing who it is I have before me for this very interview. Do take a sip of water and join us for this very interesting conversation right after this. Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong is the immediate past General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana. Today, he happens to be my guest on 21 Minutes with KKB. Reverend, good morning.
Thank you.
Many thanks for inviting us over to your house.
It's a pleasure to have you. You are doing a good job on Ghana World.
Thank you. And it's been a while since I saw you. The last time was, I think 2 years ago or so when we had that interview.
Yes, but I'm still with you. I've been reading wonderful news items from your platform. So yes, physically we've not been very bad, but we are very close.
Speaking. Yes. You know, of course, at the time you were still General Secretary of the Christian Council. Now you're no longer General Secretary. What do you do? Nowadays, what do you do?
Yes, I handed over 1st May the office of the General Secretary Christian Council to a very wonderful brother, Reverend Dr. Farise. He was the president of Trinity Theological Seminary, Legon, and now the YP Church, they have a university in Ho. He is the current president, like vice chancellor, but he has moved from that university to take over Christian Council. I was teaching at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the Department of Religious Studies. So I moved from there to Christian Council, and I've gone back. So I'm a full-time lecturer at KNUST.
Okay.
I enjoy teaching.
I can see. Okay, that's good to know. And I'm also told you are trying to help government on a few things, or serving on some boards and the like. Is that true?
Oh, yes. We are all Ghanaians, and at any point in time, we may be invited to help. And so, yes, I serve on 1 or 2 government boards that provide some advice to the president and then some ministers of state.
Oh, that's good to know. So you are helping the MPP transform the lives of many Ghanaians.
I'm helping.
As things, of course, it's Ghanaians you're helping.
I might say some of the boards, I was on some of state boards, even under NDC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on the finance committee board now?
I know you have so many questions, so let's continue.
No, but I just want to be sure. I just want us to have that. I just want us to have that.
Which I wish we don't spend much time.
Oh no, we won't.
Yeah. So let's go to the next item.
No, I just want to be sure. Is it the finance committee board?
I've read the news somewhere like that.
But that's what I'm asking. Is that the case?
So you want to know more about?
No, I just want to know. Albeit it being an adversary capacity, I'm told.
Yes, I'm also told that there's a Ministry of Finance advisory board, and there are people.
Are you a member of that board?
I don't think I want to talk too much about.
No, but Doc, it's just a yes or no question. Are you a member?
A yes or
board?
no will make you happy.
Yes,
and we'll move on.
Hopefully,
take a yes for an answer for now.
Okay, so you're a member of that board.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We just want to get that out of them. You know, one of the. I'm asking this because oftentimes, a lot of people try to connect the dots and suggest that, this gentleman is not speaking now because he's pro this, he's pro that. And of course, there's been a lot of attacks on your personality. People have tagged you as pro MPP or pro NDC or whatever. That's why sometimes when some of these things come up, we just try to bring them to the fore. But just before coming here, I had a discussion with someone who mentioned to me that Christian Council, Catholic bishops, so all of you people, nowadays, you don't seem to criticize government anymore. When Mahama was in power, you were very critical of him. At least that was what I was told.
No, I've heard that before. And this is not the first time we're hearing this. I also heard it before 2016. That people will come to you, why are you so quiet with this issue about the president and all that, you know. So that is how the game has been played for some time now. But let me speak for myself at the moment. You know, you just check how the heads of churches, Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference, Christian Council, they don't just jump into things. You know, that is what people should understand. They come out, but they come out when they know they have done their homework well. Some of the issues, they may invite government people, opposition people, into all kinds of closed-door meetings, and they find their own technical people to educate them. Then they start shooting.
So to you, the Christian Council remains as objective as it has always been?
The council was formed in 1929, to bring Christians together. And then also their public witness. The recent the appointment of, say, electoral commission chairperson. And it's not like we woke up and the president said, "I've kicked out Mrs. Charlotte."
So the president consulted
we're going to court. Somebody challenged it in court. And when you realize that the legal processes are being followed, you don't just jump. You wait. So they find their own way. But are you going through due processes and all that? So you don't just come out and condemn things. It is when you realize that, hey, what is happening? And they do their homework well. This I know.
So literally, people say, I'm on appointments.
President Mahama gave me an appointment.
Really?
They appointed me Ghana Prison Service Council. Under NDC, I serve on some state, but that directly advised the president. So, but this is our country, So I have represented the various religious bodies on so many government boards and councils. And we do that just for our common good. Not for a particular
I'm glad you mentioned the issue about the Electoral Commission. Now we do have a new Electoral Commission chair in the person of Jean Mensah. I know you may have worked with her for some time, right? For you, how do you see her in that position as EC chair? Is she good enough? Is she tough enough to handle the pressure?
Even before Jane, there was Charlotte Osei.
Yes.
And I will want this country to express our gratitude to Mrs. Charlotte Osei. I was very, an insider in the 2016 general election because of my work then as a general secretary. And, that was an election that, for the first time, a sitting president, handed over to Nana in opposition. It wasn't a simple thing for us. So whoever mobilized and led us to have the before, during, and after the peace, the harmony we have now, has made a significant contribution. She might have made mistakes here and there, but this country must express our gratitude to Mrs. Charlotte Osei and her team, despite one or two flaws here and there. But back to the question you raised.
But do you think she's being treated fairly?
I know she's a lawyer, she has her lawyers. We will wait to hear
no, but I want to know what you think, whether or not she has been treated fairly, because the statement that came out, signed by Eugene Ahin, suggested that there was some level of incompetence displayed on her part.
I will want us to wait and hear what her lawyers will say, because before Ahin, at least we had staff of EC raising a voice. We heard her also raising a voice, people going to court. And it seems to me the issues are still in court.
Yes, one issue has been quashed, by the way.
Yes, so I will want to keep my layman sentiment.
Oh, I get that, and I understand that. I understand
that she had made significant contribution in spite of everything. I will maybe want to use your platform to say thank you to her, that she had made a significant contribution, for 2016 election to bring us here, all of them, to me.
Working with her, did you see her or did she display signs of incompetence?
There are things that we will see outwardly and other things inwardly. All that we interacted with her. I knew her even before she took that appointment at NCC. We were working together with her. And then she met us, Christian Council of Ghana. I must say that there were challenges. The voter registrar, to compile a new one or not to compile a new one, the logo became an issue, to change logo, not to change logo, and all that. So there were real issues. But that is the nature of the job. And having these two political parties, MPP, NDC, managing them, it's not easy. And sometimes, let me tell you, Chanchahini, my experience with this, but I will still come back to Jane.
Sure.
But they can go do double registration, register minors, pursue double voting, and then they come back and voice the very thing they have done. MPP does that, NDC does that. And then they put those who are managing the election, into trouble. Change the voter register when they know they have increase, they've registered minors, double voter, all kinds of things. Then they come and they talk, shout, the register is not good, but they know what they have done to not to make the registrar good. But that is another subject for another day. But I've worked with Jane. In fact, I serve on the advisory board, winner takes all presidential debate committee. So I've worked closely with her. And at IEA, she's been able to bring all of us, Christian, Muslim, media people, security, donor agencies, MPP, NDC, women group, youth group, and constantly bringing us together on national issues, our common good, and all that. And that has been excellent. But quickly, we must say that IEA is IEA and Electoral Commission is Electoral Commission. The two are not the same. Even though some of the values there, ability to bring people of different opinions and all that may, flow into this. But the heat at IEA is not the kind of temperature you find at Electoral Commission. I will want to congratulate her. She's been wonderful at IEA. But moving forward to EC, I will want to use your platform to just suggest humbly that MPP, NDC are all capable of rigging election in Ghana. And so in working with them, she must keep that in mind, that they are all capable of rigging election. So she should not have favorite sons and daughters in any of the political parties, especially NDC and MPP.
In the last days at the IEA, there seemed to have been a bit of an issue with, at the time, the governing party, the NDC, to a point where they boycotted almost all events of the IEA. You tout her credentials, her ability to bring people together and the like. But in the last few days at IEA, serious issues were raised about how she handled certain concerns raised by the NDC at the time. Don't you think that may likely affect how things play out going into 2020 elections?
I told you that the Presidential Debate Committee, I'm a member.
Yes. So I'm sure you have a lot more insight.
So those who plan the debate and who invited all of them, who determined the venues and everything, I'm a member. But maybe going into the detail why NDC is not happy and all that, I will leave IEA to go public if they choose to on that. But what I am not surprised at all is that I have seen instances, if MPP is in power, and we pray and hope 2020, what they will do. They will say we won't attend the debate, we won't attend the IEA meeting. And NDC will be willing to attend all the meetings. Then the tables will change. And NDC will tell you, we won't attend. And MPP will be willing to attend all the meetings. That has been the trajectory. That one, I can stick my neck out. Other things, maybe when we get closer to IEA, those who are supposed to. But all of them have played this kind of game with IEA. And as for that, the record is all over the place.
Let's turn our attention to this free SHS thing and the fact that there has been a lot of talk about its implementation, the way and manner in which government is bent on implementing a system which many have suggested may likely cripple this entire free SHS policy in the first place. How do you see it? Of course, maybe we can take a look at free SHS. From where we are now, it appears it's something we have to do. There's no turning back. But how about the implementation of that policy? We
put people there to lead. Leaders must lead. Leaders must give us leadership. But the kind of leadership they give to us, they themselves must know it's a kind of leadership that has something to do with the legacy. They must be legacy minded. It should not be just 90,000. We don't want them to stay at home. 2020 election is coming. Let us have a campaign message. We have done X, Y, Z. So push all of them through. double track system.
Is that what is happening?
No. That's what I'm saying. Now, that's the leadership they are giving to us. And that is what they are supposed to do. But if you ask me, are we doing it right? I would say they themselves, those rolling the program, must be legacy-minded. The kind of Ghanaian children they want to build, something they will be proud of, something they themselves will be willing to push their own children and grandchildren into. But it should not be a pushover. Quality education. In fact, this double track system must ensure quality assurance.
As things stand now, does it look like it will ensure quality?
Wait. You see, there are engineers. Civil society groups like you, media people, must raise our voice. What do we want as a people? I think that is a conversation we are having now. And I'm saying that the double track system must pay attention to quality assurance. That Ghanaian children who come out from our schools can compete with children from South Africa, Kenya, anywhere. If all we are going to get from double track system is a campaign promise fulfilled, then we are in trouble. The government must listen, and must not listen to only the voices they want to hear. They must also listen to those whose faces they don't like. You see, we don't want to hear anything like, we won't listen to NDC, we won't talk to CPP. We must listen to everybody. Where we are, consensus building. I know the Minister of Education has gone around, talked to some groups, professors, university, and this and that. But we must talk to Ghanaian parents. At the end of the day, you are talking about Ghanaian children. So the parents' voices must be heard. My child is going to stay home for such a long period. What are we putting in place? So we need to hear parents. We need to hear the political parties.
There's one group that has been speaking, NAGRAT. They are key stakeholders in this, and they are saying, we are warning you against this. But if you insist, we are washing our hands off it. Is that not worrying enough for you? Don't you think the people who are in there teaching these students see the problem ahead?
We must build consensus. And still, I'll humbly appeal that the Minister of Education and his deputies and all key must listen.
I know the Christian Council is a very influential body in Ghana. Religion as a whole is a big deal for a lot of Africans. The problem, however, has to do with the proliferation of several churches in Ghana, and in fact, if you even turn on your TV, because of this digital system, you can see close to about 50 TV stations owned by pastors, and it's one sermon after the other. One was either a sale of water, salt, cassava, all kinds of things.
Maybe you can also start your church and sell what? I'll come to your platform to see what you sell. Yeah.
But you've served as Secretary General, General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana. This obviously should be worrying to you, because honestly, sometimes I watch some of the things and I hear some of the things and I'm appalled by the kind of things that I hear. And the most worrying part of all of this, at least for me, is the several people who sit in these churches and consume such information. Is that not a problem for you?
Yeah, thank you very much for raising this issue. Let me say that now I speak for myself. I'm no more the General Secretary. Okay. When you are the General Secretary, you are the accredited spokesperson.
Okay.
And they all wait for you to go out. But you've raised a very important issue. We need an independent body to respond to the abuses in our system. As at now, there are churches in Accra that will not allow members to go to school, children to go to school, today in the name of God. There are churches that will not allow people to go to hospital. And I have had instance, I was on a media platform, and a woman called that she spoke in Chi. Me say, me call hospital, na me buy na also bo me. You are a member in that church, you are not supposed to go to hospital. And a pregnant woman attended hospital. She came back, and the pastor called her in front of everybody and whipped her. And she doesn't see anything wrong. She's happy. Forgetting that what happened to a pregnant woman can affect the baby in the womb. But the woman spoke, she called into a phone program, Peace FM, with joy. I have a pastor in the name of Akwanchere prophecy that God has given him lotto numbers. And he needs 200 people that he's going to give the lotto numbers. And each one must pay him 50 Ghana cedis. So quickly 200 people line up. Interestingly, the number he gave to you, the different number he gave to the other. If the 200 people each got a different lotto number still coming from God. At the end of the day, 2, 3, 1. And this is common permutation, mathematics, you know. So 1 or 2, 1. I have had a woman who said that he had paid that 50 cedis 5 times.
And she still hasn't won.
Yes. And the 6th time he
Perhaps
went
it's
to...
not her time.
So the 6th time he went to the prophet. That prophet, as for today, I don't have money. So give it to me for free. And the man of God, supposedly man of God said, no, that's not that kwantre, the direction God has given to me. God has not asked me to give numbers for free. So you still must pay. But you see, why the prophet can guarantee anytime he get those lotto numbers, 200 times 50 Ghana cedis. So by the time the service is over, he can go home with his 50 times 200 people. The poor woman will give 50 cedis. At the end of the week, she will still must go and look for another 50. So you realize that in the name of religion, there are people who are thriving on the vulnerability of the poor and the needy in Ghana. And that's the question you are raising. And what do? We have been condemning. How many times? We hear this report and we condemn. But beyond condemnation, what do? All freedoms must come with responsibility. You can't say you have freedom of movement. So you drive your whatever luxurious car on the highway and you say MTTD must allow you to do whatever you want. It doesn't work like that.
I suppose then you agree with the several who believe that churches, not even the businesses churches run, but churches themselves need to be taxed.
Yeah. Maybe I've heard, Ghana revenue people talking like this.
So for instance, if it's a church and maybe you own a school or you own something else, you pay tax on those things. But how about the church itself?
No, Chenchahini, let me tell you. When they talk like that, I pray and hope they will come clean with their definitions, details. The churches do pay tax. So they must tell us exactly what they are looking for. The churches I have worked with, the Catholic Bishop Conference, Christian Council, all the Presby, Methodist, Anglican, Baptist, Salvation Army, and all those groups.
So perhaps income tax.
And they pay even at source. So if that is what you are talking about, I'm telling you, go into their books. They even pay at source. Now, the next level is that all organizations that are registered at our corporate laws, charity, have certain exemptions. Yeah. Not only church, Muslims are there. All political parties are there. And so if they want, when they talk like that, they usually just raise. And they're saying that all those who are under charity, NGOs under charity must pay tax. They should stop talking about church. Then they must say what they mean. That all those, and that one, MPP and NDC people must pay tax first. If you make any law discriminatory, you'll be in trouble. Why church? So let me say that those who are doing church people should do this, must go back to the drawing board, give them some proper definition. The concepts must be right. If you are building XYZ, you pay tax. Whether you are a church, whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a shrine, whether you are this, you pay. Stop there. And then enforce it. If you are selling oil, whether it's fried or whether it's anointing, whether it's you pay tax. Stop there. So whether that fried oil is sold in church or is sold in shrine, you pay tax. Stop there.
I see.
So all those who are talking church people must pay tax. They are not helping anybody. They sound very discriminatory. They better shut up.
A short while ago, you spoke about interpretation of scripture.
Yes.
In scripture, it says, a man shall leave his house and get a woman. It gives all those things as far as marriage is concerned. The issue of homosexuality, it hasn't been, of course, it has been overflogged, but it keeps repeating itself. I know you have been an advocate for, against same-sex marriage. Let me be very spot on that. You are vehemently opposed to that. Why?
And you also, let me thank you, because recently you did a program on your 21 minutes thing, and you got some high-profile people, because this had been with us for some time, but I think you raised it to another level, because at the point we had some countries and donor agencies sometimes who want to threaten us and our leaders that if you don't do this, we will not give you this. And now you get those who said that we are going to help you change your laws on this.
If the laws are discriminatory, they say they deem it necessary to help you change them.
But that idea that somebody like a schoolmaster who is sitting somewhere in Britain think that they know what is wrong with our law is not fair. But one of your recent production, you were able to get a high-profile people from one of these countries.
We spoke to the British High Commissioner.
We said that we'll never impose anything on you. And I think that is a new twist that you have introduced into the conversation. Chanchahin, let me tell you, marriage and family life in Ghana, in Africa, is not the same as marriage and family life in Europe and in the US. They're not the same. For us, what makes us Ghanaians has a lot to do with family life. You see, in the US, I stayed and studied in the US, and I had friends. You know, you can tomorrow morning walk to your mom and dad and introduce a lady that, mom and dad, meet my wife. When did you get married and all that? It's not an issue, and they don't have any right, if you are beyond 18 years, to ask you that, why did you get married without our consent?
But how different is the
Master,
situation?
you cannot, I tell you, go home and ask your mom and dad. I'm telling you, you cannot present any lady to them that they have not gone through the process with you. You cannot marry.
I am the one supposed to live with the person.
That's what makes you a Ghanaian. That's make you can't. Never dream.
Is that not an archaic practice?
It's not archaic. Who's archaic? That is your identity. You must come talk to your dad. I found this lady. You are not going to marry the lady. Marriage for us is not between two young people who think they love themselves. For us, marriage is between two families. This is what you and your young friends must understand. Marriage in this country is between families, not between two young people. Marriage in the US...
So the families come together for this marriage ceremony. After the ceremony, the two individuals are living together.
And they have a say. And if you are talking about human rights, you must also respect the right of your parent. You are in love with a lady, but you should be able to bring the two families together. And if your parents have reason not to follow you to marry that lady, they can distance themselves. If the lady's parents have any good reason not to follow her, your future in-laws can say no, and it is a no. You can't do that in the US.
But that doesn't necessarily stop me from marrying whoever it is I choose to marry.
Fine, but your marriage may not get the respect and the recognition of the family.
Is it about respect?
No, you are part of the family.
But does it make me more human than somebody else who hasn't gone through that process?
For our part of the world, yes.
Really?
So if you present another guy to your mom and dad, and you say, Mommy, Daddy, meet my male Mr. Mrs. Your parents have every right to say, boy, thank you very much. Go back and think properly. Go. The same way, if a lady presents another lady before her mom and dad, they can say that, you know, this is our part. And then they say, you haven't finished with the thinking process. Go back.
But I'm not mad. I know what I feel for whoever it is I want.
You don't live in isolation. What you can do in Europe, you can do in the US. That is us. That is our uniqueness, and that's why I respect you for that interview you did, that we will not impose, because anybody who is discussing same-sex union with us must understand our uniqueness, must understand how we define ourselves as Ghanaians who have also been created by God, and that is our right that must be protected. For us, marriage is not just pleasure, it's not sexual pleasure. Marriage is procreation. But you can get people in the US who will get married, and right from the beginning, they will tell you, we are not going to have baby. Full stop. People get into marriage in Europe. Beginning of the marriage, the lady can say that, I will never bring forth. And they agree, and they start, and they continue. Here, if the day we are having what they call engagement, and you dare tell your parent that I'm marrying that lady, but we have agreed that we will forever and ever not give birth, they will sack you. That go, and they cancel the engagement.
And is that not against my right?
What is your right? Your right connects with my right. Huh?
But so
what is your right?
So bottom line
is human existence we are talking about.
So bottom line, you want me to satisfy
yourself?
To satisfy you.
No. You are satisfying ourselves.
Okay.
So you are because we are.
I understand that. I'm saying, in a situation where myself and whichever spouse it is I am with, we decide that we do not want to have children, we do not want to do anything, perhaps based on the financial situation, based on the plans we have, based on the environmental factors and the like, we decide that no, this is what's best for us. It does not necessarily stop any other person from procreating. People can go ahead and have sex and do whatever it is they want. But we have chosen not to do such things.
And so you have an identity. You are part of us. You did not drop from the moon. You were born into a family. So now that you are Chenchen and you drive a car and you have a job, should not let you think that way, as if you dropped from the moon. You were given birth. You were raised in a family. You were part of a family. So life should not be me, myself, my own, and I. You can't talk to us like that.
But primarily it's about you. So if you can't afford it, must you necessarily procreate?
So think right.
Prof,
it should not be me. Listen, if you think like that, it's me. Life is me.
No. Right.
Myself.
It's not about.
It's not about. Own. You can do that in US.
Reverend,
you can do that in Europe.
Doc,
not in Accra.
Not
in Kumasi.
Doc, the question is, you know that you do not have the means to support a family of, say, 3.
Yes.
You can only take care of yourself and perhaps your spouse. Why go in for children if you can't afford it?
Fine. In that case, then you don't force us to enact laws to support what you are doing.
Not at all. And nobody is doing that.
No. That is what the same-sex unions.
Okay.
And that is why I come back to the interview you had. Because now we have had high-profile people who are even saying they will support us. They will, what kind of support? Even to change our laws. You know, that is why the Speaker of Parliament and others will say that if anybody bring a bill, the Speaker says, I will be willing to leave office. What you are talking about is your peculiar challenge. In that case, the whole country, we don't need to enact laws to cover your weakness. But now that is where the same-sex union lobbying are pushing us, that change your law to suit us.
What change your law so it gives everybody a level playing field? So much so that you are at liberty to marry, he's at liberty to marry whoever he wants, and I also am at liberty to marry whoever I want.
And now we say we can't run our society like that.
Why
because
not?
Now in the States, there are fathers and mothers who are saying that allow us to marry my own son. I am in love with my son. And now there are countries that are changing their laws because there are mothers who now feel that they love their own son. There are fathers who want to sleep with their own daughters. They change the laws. And now it's reached a point, there are people who are in love with their dogs. And they say, allow me to marry my dog. So that is where we have reached. The only thing we will say is this idea of attacking people, what you are talking about, that we throw people away, that we want to maim people, want to abuse people for sexual preference, shouldn't be.
Okay.
You know, I'll sack you, I won't work with you, I'll deny you employment, that kind of thing shouldn't. But for same-sex union lobbies also to impose on us that this is civilization. This civilization is for them, it's not for us. You know what we need. What we want for our young people is employment. If somebody wants to help us, they must allow our young people to find jobs. They must allow our young people access into their market. They should not drive away our young people as bad people.
So if you are an illegal immigrant, then they have every right to deport you.
But if really you want to help us, that is the kind of help. You must help our migrant youth.
My focus will be on my people, not your people.
Then you are not being sincere. Then you don't mean to help us. If you really want to help me, then meet me at the point of my need, not what you want. Then you are doing imposition. We have Ghanaian youth who, yes, even if they have erred, they find themselves in Europe. You put them in chains, the next available flight will come and throw them away like criminals. And you say you want to help us in the name of human rights. These young people are hardworking. They are not bad people. They are not dangerous. They need jobs. It's economic challenges. You put them in the next available flight, you chain them, come and throw them away, and you really want to help us. I come to you, you build your economy on the backs of Ghanaian slaves. How did Europe and America build their economies? Free employment from slaves from Ghana and elsewhere. How many years? Today you have been built, my grandfathers have built your country. We want to stay there to do anything for us to survive. You throw us away and you come and tell us that because you are doing it, we must be civilized and follow you. Why? Why?
Reverend, thank you for your time this morning.
You are always welcome. Thank you very much. I enjoyed the conversation. You are doing very well. But we must talk to our young people. We have challenges in this country. But let's, the future is good. Let's be hardworking. Let's plan our lives well. There are things in our account, they say, there will be fear, and they say will be fear. Our young men must get into proper marriage. They must marry our ladies. We have beautiful ladies who want men to marry.
Yes, we've seen your daughter.
On that note,
thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Opuni-Frimpong. But just before you go, a quick one. I know you lecture as well.
Yes.
Right? There's been this issue in the past few days, well, it's been weeks now, about sex for grades, particularly at some senior, some tertiary institutions in the country. Have you heard of any such thing? Are you aware of it? How much of a problem is that?
Yeah, I think it's a media house that have put that story out there. They say they will come out very soon.
Apparently,
but even before they do that, it's a shame. It's happening in some workplaces. Before you get promotion, in fact, there are people even before you get employment. There are guys who want to see, especially our ladies. Of course, these days, young men. There are young men who ladies also want to recruit. Who we hear some ladies also are doing that to some innocent guys, but mainly it's for our young ladies who either want employment, admissions, and places. But it's a shame, because in academic circle, especially at the university. It's not like the senior high level. At the secondary school, somebody will teach you. Then somebody sitting somewhere will set examination question. Somebody else is marking. So a student's future is not totally in the hand of one person. At the university, the same person who is teaching you is the same person who is setting examination question. Is the same person marking. So if our university lecturers and professors go that way, it's like our young people have there's no choice.
There's no choice. You have no choice than to do it.
Yes.
What should such corporates be?
No. There must be discipline. In fact, universities run on statutes.
Okay.
And I would say, and we have quality assurance department in almost every university. They must be up and doing. It's a shame. And the challenge is sometimes there are colleague lecturers also in department that when a student want to raise theirs, if you don't take it, they target you. And even if you call for remarking, the results will be the same because they are not going to find a lecturer from, if this is happening in any department, I don't want to mention any, they won't go cross to another department. They will come for, and sometimes you get some colleagues who want to protect their own. And at the end of the day, our students suffer.
So we should sack such lecturers who engage in
There must be discipline. Some might even have to go beyond sacking. But if you find a lady, a guy you want to marry, properly marry her. If you're a lecturer and you find a lady on campus and you want to marry her, do things right. But to use grades to destroy young people's future, and some of them can destroy you that you can't graduate. And it's a shame. This is not the Ghana we want. And maybe colleague lecturers, those who are already in there, let's find a way of disciplining ourselves. But those who are not there should not go there. We hear even TAs who, because of what, are taking advantage of innocence. Now, take that student to be your own child, son, daughter. That is not the Ghana we want.
Indeed. Reverend, thank you once again for your time. We are really grateful for
this
welcome, very comprehensive and detailed interview. Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong has been here with Kwabena Chenche. This has been another edition of 21 Minutes with KKB. I'll see you soon, hopefully, with another guest you are expecting.